Ignite to Impact.
Welcome to the Ignite to Impact podcast, bringing you people who transform careers, entrepreneurial paths, and communities. And so we call these folks leaders. They're influencers. They create life-changing opportunities in business and in life for others and for themselves. And they teach us and inspire us by example. I'm Dr. Geneva, your host, and thank you for being here with me in the voiceover production studios of Michigan's legendary Gerald McBride. So we have weekly conversations with people who are making a difference by pushing past challenges and fears to better themselves, to solve everyday problems and create community or worldwide change. And our guests come from all walks of life, but with one thing in common. They've learned how to unleash their influence, do their thing for impact in whatever they're doing. And they make things better than they found them. And guess what? They're here with me to share their stories and secrets so we can share them with you. And I am just so delighted. Have you ever wondered about how you might make money online? Or have you ever been totally confused or overwhelmed by technology? Well, guess what? Lashanda Henery is here with me in studio today, founder of Sistas, a business training, mentorship, and networking community for women entrepreneurs. And she knows everything there is to know about technology, online business. And I'm just so thankful that you're here with me. How are you, Lashanda?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yes, and we were just talking about, we're talking to her. She's in North Carolina. I'm here in Detroit, and we're going to have a conversation about all this wonderful stuff that you can bring us and tell us about technology. So how does technology help us?
You know, I believe that right now the sky's the limit. There used to be a time when if you wanted to get on for as far as media is concerned, you had to get on television. You had to have thousands of dollars to do the ABC, NBC, what have you. But today, technology basically has blown the ceiling off of everything so that whether you have some money or literally no money, there's a way for you to, for me, I say this. www, not World Wide Web, but today's Wild Wild West. You can claim your digital property and find a way to turn nothing into something. So, I mean, there's so much I can continue to say about that, but I'll stop there.
Oh, well, we want to hear it all. So how did you get, how did you get into this field?
I'm going to say my mother because, she was one of those mothers that was very intuitive in watching me. I loved to type. I had a word processor when I was a kid, and then she got me my first IBM computer. I saw that emblem, and I said, I know I'm going to work for IBM. And I did. I interned at IBM when I was in college. I went to Columbia University. I've just had a love of technology and all things computer since I was in high school. And then what I got into, Inroads, which is the program for, it's a beautiful program for young people to get them into Fortune 500 companies, and I got into IBM through that platform. I said, you know what, I want to create experiences where other like-minded women who are looking to build their businesses and use technology to come together. So I went from trying to figure out how to do it for myself to building a community with other women who had that kind of vision and mission in mind.
And so how do you make those connections?
They say you pound the pavement, so to speak. For me, I pounded the digital pavement. Click by click, I went on forums, I went on networks. I looked for other women and said, hey, do you want to be a part of my community?
Oh, okay.
Here's the link. Here's information. I consider myself to be a social introvert, very shy person.
Okay.
But some point, I said, you know what, if I was going to get known, I had to go beyond the click by click to the one to many. So for me, that started off with doing audios so that I didn't necessarily have to show my face. I could do some audios.
Okay.
But then I transitioned into videos on YouTube, and that kind of just really blew things open. So if I could quantify for people, you know, some things that you need to do to kind of put yourself and your movement out there, being direct, you know, being in a space where you can personally reach out to people one-on-one, that click-by-click, number one. Number two, making your voice and your message known. Audio was the first thing that I did and continue to do. And then number three, you got to fight that fear. So for me, I had a big fear about pictures and putting myself in front of the camera or even doing video. But step by step, you know, I broke those fears down so that I could really break through on the internet. And I just feel like it's just been an amazing experience.
And, you know, I know what you mean about them fears because I feel that way. And I have to turn to my daughters who are, of course, much younger. They're in your age generation. You know, you all are used to this technology and being on there. But I'm a old-time baby boomer, okay? And so every time that I do that click or, you know, put up that, you know, when you you click on the phone so that the camera turns to face you and you do that live Facebook or whatever those things are, I have this fear. And part of the reason is because I'm not sure that the technology will work. And then I'll be standing there, sitting there, talking there, looking like a fool. So should I have those fears?
I think that it's natural. You know, for me, I feel like number one, and I'm like a list-loving kind of a girl, so I'm always like 1, 2, 3, 4. For me, I feel like, you know, be afraid and do it anyway. I was the kind of person who, even though I went to an Ivy League, I went to Columbia, I'm pretty smart, I think, I was that shy kid that everybody said, oh, no, she can't do it. She's too fat. She's too black. She's too ... Now I'm too extra for everybody. But back in the day, certainly I had all of these whispers around me to the point where I thought, I can't do my own business. I need to have 1 or 2 or 3 people to help me, partner with me, because I don't have the confidence in myself. But you know what? That feeling to do and create a business never went away. So I realized I just had to be afraid and do it anyway. You're just gonna have that feeling. If it's meant to be, it's not going to go anywhere. That's number one for me. And number two, I love this statement of, you know, if you make a mistake, just make it a part of the dance. You know, at the end of the day, no one really knows the mistake. You know, because it's in your head, right? Yes. I didn't really see it. So just kind of, sometimes I, said, oh, I stutter. Oh, forget about it. I'm tongue-tied. And I just keep it moving because as much pressure as we put on ourselves, that pressure is creating this beautiful diamond. As you know, that's how diamonds are formed, under pressure. And the reality is that all of these people are watching you and they don't see what you see. All they see is the end result, the beautiful diamond, the message, the motivation. So just make the mistakes part of the dance, keep it moving, and you'll be amazed at what ends up in the process. I know that I was, and I continue to be.
Such great advice. So now you own over 15 web sites, web properties, so tell me about that.
Sure. I mean, for me, websites are like chips. You can't eat just one. And I'm in a space where, as a creative, I felt like, why limit myself? So while the base of my business is Sistas, and I do build websites, so that is another website in and of itself, my web design services.
Okay.
As a very proud Black woman entrepreneur, there's so many things that I create for us as people of color. So I have the Black Parents blog. I have the Black Moms Club community, Black Writers Connect. I mean, I find that at the end of the day, you don't have to limit yourself either based on boxes that other people put you in, or you saying, I only have to do one thing. When the spirit takes me, I'm sitting drawing and creating my beautiful characters for my kids. I have little bits kids, cartoons and animated books and whatever I feel like doing today, I'm going to do, because that's just what God has put into me. And out of that has come all of this. So I love that. And I always try to encourage people to, either get out of your own box or the ones that people try to put you into, so that you can create what you want to create for yourself.
And so some of your blogs or websites, your networking community, the Sister Sense Money, all that is geared to helping women entrepreneurs learn how to build successful businesses online. How do you do that?
Oh, that's a big question.
Okay.
I always tell people, first and foremost, before you get online, get offline. It is literally a rabbit hole that can put you in an infinite number of directions. And at the end of the day, it's not about where other people are trying to guide you. It's about where you are trying to get to for yourself. So you get offline and just think about for yourself, what do you fundamentally want to do? I know at the beginning I wasn't very clear, so I found myself sitting on the floor in Barnes & Nobles for many hours reading different books and then going, maybe I can do self-publishing and write. And then from there, I actually started off writing self-publishing books, building my website and blogging, and people said, I like your blog. Who did that? I like your website. I said, I did that. Can you build my website? Okay. Started building websites for other people. I think that, for me, and the list goes on and on. I think that for me, it starts off with you having an internal conversation as far as what you want to do, and then go from there. One of my favorite quotes is, Oprah wasn't built in a day. And at the end of the day, basically, you got to start with one thing. So, for me, that was just building me, writing my first book, building my website, and all the other businesses, all the different monetization models came from me starting from that point.
So are you saying that, I guess what I hear you saying is that you started with your own vision, sense of self, what you wanted to do, so that vision and goal setting was a first step?
Absolutely, because there are a lot of things that can cripple you on your journey to success. One is overthinking. Well, should I do this? Should I do this? What do they want? That question of, I got to figure out what they want and then make that. No, you got to make what you want. If you try to make what they want, you're going to keep making and remaking and tweaking over, and you're never going to make anything.
Well, see, right? Lashanda, where were you in my life like 2-3 years ago? Because that's what I've come through, and I guess the really the blessing part of it is that I can say I've come through it, not that I'm still in it. Because for the past year or two, that's kind of what I've been feeling, that I've been trying to, figure out what folk want, and I want to do that because there is the aspect of you want to give your customers or your clients or your listeners what they want, what they need. You want to try to help solve their problems. But I found myself, it was kind of like a spinning thing, and I had to stop. I love what you said about to be successful online, get offline first. Yes, and once I did that and started really thinking that through, kind of having that vision, developing those goals, it kind of turned different. Is that the kind of experience you had and you're talking about?
Absolutely, because here's the secret to the sauce. When you start to really build momentum in creating your brand, your customers will then tell you what they want. So, for example, as a web designer, I went from just simply saying, hey, I can build a website for you, to, here are some of the websites I've built for authors and coaches and doctors, and being really niche specific about those different types of websites. Versus just saying, I can build a general website. Same thing goes through for example, this year, I do so many things with the ladies in my circle. This year, we've been digging into digital products because they're like, Lashanda, I need help creating digital products. And I'm like, okay, let's do that. The more you really fine-tune what you do and build a customer base, the more those customers will tell you what they want. And if you're just kind of throwing, I call it spaghetti marketing, if you're just trying to throw stuff up and see what sticks, you're going to find yourself challenged. You've got to get to a sweet spot where not only are you creating and building a following, but those people are engaging with you, because those conversations are literally priceless.
And that whole subject, this whole subject of engagement. So, Lashanda, how do you tell? How can you tell? How do you gauge if folk are engaged?
Oh, that's a great question. I think the easiest is just old school conversation. At the end of the day, if you're the only one talking, that's a problem.
Okay.
For me, and it doesn't mean high quantity. It always goes back to quality. So for me, at the end of the day, it doesn't mean that, thousands of people are liking or sharing or checking in and commenting. It means that quality people, right? I always tell people, I'm a New Yorker, but I'm in the South. So I say, you don't have to get everybody or everybody, as right. You got to get the right body.
Okay.
Right? So if people are emailing you, asking you questions, real genuine, saying, oh, I'm watching this video, or I just signed up for this from you. How do I do that? I had a young lady, she brought me to tears a week ago, messaged me and said, listen, this is the situation with me and my spouse. He controls everything, makes me feel like I'm nothing. I am watching you. I am following you. I need you to tell me how to start with from nothing. That's engagement. It doesn't have to be thousands of people. It has to be the individuals who come to you heart open, hands open, ready to work with you. And if you're not getting that, you've got to work on not simply going, oh, let me teach and overteach and overteach, and if I teach them some more, they'll buy.
Right.
Create conversations where you're asking people questions, where you're transparently talking about what you went through and the issues and the solutions that work for you. And that's what works for me.
Yeah, like I said, Lashanda, I'm so glad you came into my life. You're into my life now, because I'm telling you, you talking that stuff. So, I was just really interested in you've got a Black parenting blog?
Yes.
What do you talk about in that conversation, in that community?
It's interesting because the conversation started before I even had my first child. I birthed my baby, which was the experience of my sister had her son, and I said, you know what, I want something beautiful for him. So I created Little Bits, which is a bedtime stories for kids of color.
Okay.
And then when I had my son, my only one, he feels like me having 15 kids and just in his one body. Then I said, you know what do I do with this boy? I know how to work with girls. And I found myself asking all these different questions. So I created the Black Moms Club, blackmomsclub.com, which is a network for other mothers to come and talk about what they go through. And just in creating networks and talking about what I'm doing with my son, or creating things for my kids and my family, that's created the community. I've had an opportunity to work with Disney. They sent me out to Disney World when they did Princess Tiana as part of other mom bloggers to say, listen, now that you know what's going on, bring it back to your community. So, I became like an influencer of sorts.
Yes.
So
now, wait a minute, Lashanda. Wait a minute. Ho. Now, see, you just dropped that and just went right on. I was with Disney, and no. So you have to tell us, how was that experience?
Oh, that was beautiful. I mean, it was an opportunity for me to see that there were other mothers. It was an opportunity for me to understand that other people see value in me, because sometimes we devalue what we do naturally, right? So to have Disney call me, fly me out to Disney, show me, take me on tour. I met Belle Biv DeVoe.
Girls!
All
my
these
goodness!
Beautiful experiences. And it's not the only time. It's just been just so many times I've worked with Black Enterprise. They've taken me to their events and said, hey, share this with your network of Black women entrepreneurs. When you really just sit in a space where you're like, listen, this is who I am, this is what I do, and you build a community around that, other people will then want to come on and, share what they're doing with your community too. And yeah, I mean, I just kind of love being in a space where I can create these communities. And for me, when I said do what you want, all of these communities are an extension of I'm feeling empty here. And if I can't find it, I'm going to create it.
Okay. So in creating these communities, again, you're doing so much. You're seeing Disney, you're being in Essence, you're the Black Enterprise you've been featured there. You're doing all these wonderful things in creating community. And, even though you're doing it with technology, how do you find balance in your life? Many times we do so much, are involved in so much, that it's hard to juggle priorities. How do you find balance in life?
I think there's a lot that goes into that. One of the things I say comically, but in all seriousness, I tell people that my phone number is like Fort Knox. Like, no one has my Fort number. Because here's the thing about technology. It's instant gratification. So you're in a space where people are always like, hey, can I talk to you? Oh, did you get this now? Can we do this now? Like, they want very quickly. And for me, one way to find balance is to set very clear boundaries. So, okay, yes, I'll talk to you, but you got to get on my calendar so I can do it in a time that works for me and works for you. For example, there are days when Wednesday, I call it kind of my office hours, I do clarity calls. I only do those on Wednesday because they used to overtake my whole week. And, I'd have to run home and have a call with a client, and it's crazy. Find balance by setting boundaries. Find balance by creating personal traditions for you and your family. I love... my hubby and my son, we just religiously, we go to Florida to see the family, and we do certain things every time, certain times of year. There are times when I'm just like, nope, not on the computer, I don't work, it is what it is. We're doing stuff together, creating personal traditions for yourself, creating those boundaries. I think that those are things that are going to help you find balance. Now, one of the things that I say to that question of balance, I remember going to a Black Enterprise event and having the opportunity to meet Lisa Price. And I always look at that photo of me and her like, yes, Lisa Price. Carol started like, she's like my Oprah, And I remember her saying, when it comes to balance, I do what I need to do and not drop the baby. And she basically said, when I'm a good business owner, I focus on my business, I do that. When I'm a good mom, I just focus on being a mom, and I do that. It's sometimes hard to do a little bit of everything. Just know that when you're doing that one thing, you dig in as best as you can, then you turn it off, and you go to the next thing. So when I'm mom, I'm mom, and when I'm entrepreneur, I'm entrepreneur.
Some real good advice, real good tips. And, the time has just flown. I could, continue to talk to you, and I'm definitely going to have you back. But, Lashanda, how can... two things as we're closing. One, how can people connect with you? That's one. And then secondly, is there anything that you particularly want our listeners to know, that you want to say, any advice that you'd like to give?
Sure. Sista Sense, that's me, SistaSense.com. My goal is always to help people make sense of making money online. When you're there, you can email me, or there's a gray tab on the right. Send me a voice message. Love to hear your voice so I can message you right back. Conversations are just crucial. And then number two, I would say right now, realize that you have everything that you need to get started. I started from a place of feeling like I was not enough, that I needed other people or other things. And I learned at the end of the day, especially when it comes to technology, so long as you got your water and your Wi-Fi, you're good. Work on your content, work on your confidence. Everything that you need, you've got right now, and everything else that you will need will come to you in divine right timing, so long as you do the work. God helps those who help themselves.
just Lashanda Henry. I am just so grateful that you had some time to spend with me and my listeners. We love you, and just such great energy and good advice, and we got everything we need right now, so just go do it, right?
Absolutely. Go do it. Get it done.
Thank you. Sister Sense, making sense out of making money online and being successful, and just all your wonderfulness that you've been doing. Thank you so much for sharing your pearls of wisdom with us on Ignite to Impact. Bye-bye.
Ignite to Impact.